Algebra 2 students, in this video we will be learning how to multiply matrices, okay? We will be looking at multiplying matrices, so your heading today is, obviously, multiplying matrices, lesson 4.2. I would write down the heading, I would write down the lesson number, I would also write down today's date, so that you have really organized notes, okay? I tell you this every day, and I'm serious about that. The more organized you are, the easier it is to study, okay? So your heading today is multiplying matrices, lesson 4.2, and be sure and include today's date. Now remember, on any video that I make, if you have to pause the video, please do that, okay? I go pretty fast on purpose, because it's always hard to speed me up, but you can definitely slow me down by pausing the video. When you first hear the heading, multiplying matrices, you probably think this will be easy to learn. Just like adding and subtracting matrices was simple, pretty easy to learn. Unfortunately, that is just not the case. Multiplying matrices together is not super hard, but it is one of the more difficult matrix operations that you will learn to do. So please understand that. You have to run a test to see if the matrices are compatible for multiplication. Then you have to write the shell of the matrix answer. Now this is my own made up word, so this is not an official math term, okay? And I'll explain later what that means, but you have to write the shell of the matrix answer and then finally do a lot of multiplying and adding. Another word for adding would be combining, okay? You have to do a lot of multiplying and combining or adding to get the entries of your answer. So it's really not as easy as you think it's going to be. So with that in mind, I felt that it is best today to give you some steps that will help you. Alright? Now, when I give you these 3 steps, they're not going to make a lot of sense. There's no way I can put into words every little thing you're supposed to do. But these 3 steps should jog your memory in such a way that you understand what to do when you're working a problem out. So these steps will not make sense at first, but the more you use them, the more they will. Steps for multiplying matrices. Step 1, run a test to make sure the matrices can be multiplied. Step 2, write the order of your answer with a shell matrix. I'll explain that later. Multiply a row times a column over and over until you are finished, and I'll explain that later. Now I'm going to move on, so you probably will want to pause the video, copy these 3 things down, and then move on, okay? So here we go. The best way to learn how to do this is to jump right in. So let's look at 3 problems today is what we're going to look at. There's our first one, alright? So copy this in your notes. I'm going to move on. If you need to pause the video, please feel free to. I'm going to slide these up so we have some room to work. You should have these steps copied down so you don't need to see them, and I have them pretty well memorized. It's not that hard to memorize them. And here we go. Step 1 says to run a test. So here we go. I expect you to take a lot of side notes off to the side, okay? Because I'm going to be explaining each step slowly, meticulously, and hopefully well, okay? So in order to run a test, you write down the dimensions of your first matrix, and this is a 3 by 2, 3 rows, 2 columns. This is a 2 by 2, 2 rows, 2 columns. Now, because these 2 numbers here are on the inside, I call them inside numbers. Obviously, these 2 numbers here are called my outside numbers because they're on the outside. If these 2 inside numbers do not match, then you cannot multiply the 2 matrices together. Now, you take your notes on that however you want to, but I'm telling you now, you have to write the order or the dimension, whatever word you want to use. You have to write the order of your first matrix, the order of your second matrix, and the inside numbers must match. Okay, do you understand that? If the inside numbers don't match, then you cannot multiply these matrices. by the way, you better listen to what I'm saying. These comments I'm about ready to make would probably make some really good test or quiz questions. You know, in basic mathematics, 3 times 2 is the same thing as 2 times 3. That is not the same with matrices. If you take a matrix times a matrix and then flip the order and put this matrix first and multiply it times this matrix, you might sometimes get out the same answer, but if you do, it's a coincidence, okay? That does not work. In fact, sometimes, think about it, guys. Hey, look at this. If I were to put this matrix first over here, I would have a 2 by 2 first, right? If I pick this up and put it here, I would have a 2 by 2 times a what? 3 by 2. Do your inside numbers match? No, they don't. So not only will you not get out the same answers when you switch matrices around, except in rare situations, sometimes when you swap the matrices around and put this one first, you get out no solution. It can't be done. So understand that matrices are not like numbers, okay? When you switch the order of the matrices, you're not guaranteed to get out the same answer. Sometimes you'll get out no solution. Okay, so let's go over this again. Step 1, run your test. So write your order, and the inside numbers should match. In this case here, my inside numbers do match. So I'm totally good to go ahead and multiply. Now step 2 says to write the order of your answer with a shell matrix. Now can I show you how to do that? Please watch. If your inside numbers match, then you look at your outside numbers. You have a 3 and a what? 2. Guess what, students? That's the order of your answer. Okay, so far I have not done anything that is, like blowing up your brain or anything. Okay, it's pretty simple. You write the order. If the inside numbers match, you're good. If they don't, you put no solution. If they match, then your outside numbers are going to be the order or the dimensions of your answer. So step 2 says to write the order of your answer. I did that with a shell matrix. Now a shell matrix is my own made up phrase. It just means an empty matrix that matches this. So you want 3 rows and 2 columns. So it should look like this. Here's your answer right here. Write this, okay? You want 3 rows, right? And how many columns? 2 columns. Got it. So I'm going to put blanks. So there'll be a number here, 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 and here. Now let's see if I'm right, okay? How many rows are you supposed to have? 3. 1, 2, 3. How many columns are you supposed to have? 2. 1, 2. So now step 2 is complete. It is, Mr. Earhart. Sure it is. You wrote the order of your answer with a shell or an empty matrix. Okay? So there we go. There's my order of my answer. There's my empty shell matrix. Now I'm ready to go on to the actual multiplication, okay? And here's where it gets difficult. Let's review. Step 1, if your inside numbers match, you're good. If they don't, no solution. Then take your outside numbers, that's the dimension of your answer or the order of your answer, and then write an empty matrix like this so you can put your answers in as you go along, okay? So with that in mind, let's go ahead and we no longer need this. I'm going to get rid of that 3 by 2, okay? Now, step 3 says to multiply your rows times your columns over and over and over until you're finished. So here's what you do. You always take your first row. Got it? Always. Always take your first row in your first matrix and you multiply it times this column like this. First number times first number, that's a positive 3. Next number times next number, that's a negative 12. Negative 1 times 3. 3 times negative 4. Then you combine those 2 numbers. Negative 9. And that goes right here. So I take my first row times my first column. Now students, I don't care if you have 1,000,000 rows. second matrix. I don't care how many rows you have. Are you listening? You take this row. Did I say row? I hope I didn't. I don't care if you have a million columns. That's what I meant to say. Sorry, guys. I don't care if you have a million columns in this matrix right here. Okay? I don't care if you have a million columns. You are going to take this row and multiply it times every column until you have done that to every column. You do not switch rows until you've multiplied this row times every column. Now, did we multiply this row times this column? Yes, we did. So now we go to the next column. Sorry about that. Now we go to the next column. And we do the whole thing again. First number times first number, that's a -2. Next number times next number, +3. Combine or add and you get 1. Now where does that go? Does that go here, 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 here? Where does it go? You always move across. Always. Isn't that easy? Always go to the right, just like you're reading a book, left to right. So the 1 would go here. Now I have a question for you. See this row right here? Did we multiply it times this column? Yes, we did. Did we multiply it times this column? Yes, we did. Is there another column? No, there's not. So you know you're finished with this row because there are no columns left. So now we go to the next row and we start the whole procedure over again, okay? We're going to take this row times this column and this column and this column, all the columns you have, okay? So here we go. Row times column, first number times first number, next number times next number, combine, it goes here. I'm in the second row because I'm using the second row. Up here when I used the first row, I was in the first row. Now I'm using the second row here, so I'm going to be in the second row here. Really simple, okay? Now, did I take this row times this column? Yes, so now I go to the next column right here. And here we go again. First number times first number. Second number times second number. Combine those two numbers and you get a 6. Remember, you always move to the right. So the 6 would go here. Alright? Alright, let's continue on. Now, you are done with this row right here. This row right here, because you've multiplied it times every column, so you know you're done. So we'll go to the next row and we'll start all over again. Here we go. First number times first number. Second number times second number. And that would give you a -15 if you combine those. Now, I took this row times this column, so now we're going to move to the next column. 5 and 2, first number times first number. Second number times second number. Combine and you get a 10 right here. And we're finished. So there's your answer. Now if you don't like those blanks, just put -9, -4, -15, 1, 6, 10. Students, the reason I encourage you to write your order and then put blanks in here so you can see what your answer is supposed to look like, and that will help you catch yourself from making mistakes, okay? But I know I'm done because I took my last row times all my columns. I'm finished. There's nothing else I can do. Plus, all of my blanks are filled up, so I know that I'm finished. All right. All right, let's continue on. These problems can really be confusing. I understand that, okay? But listen, the best way to alleviate confusion and build confidence is to practice and then experience success while you're practicing. So let's do some more, okay? Let's do 1, 2, and I think that's it. Just 2 more, all right? So here we go. Now, let's multiply these two matrices together. We got to run our test first, okay? Now, if I'm going too fast and you got to pause the video and copy this down, that's fine. This has 3 rows and 2 rows and 3 columns. So it's a 2 by 3. This is a square matrix. It's a 3 by 3. Do your inside numbers match? Yes, they do. If they did not, you would stop and put no solution. Since your inside numbers match, then you know what your order or dimension of your answer is going to be. Look at your outside numbers, a 2 and a 3. So you know your answer is going to be a 2 by 3. So we're going to have 2 rows and 3 columns, just like this. Isn't this a 2 by 3? So it's going to look like this right here. So put your brackets like this, and you have a blank here, a blank here, a blank here, just like these three numbers, and a blank, and a blank, and a blank, just like these three, okay? So my answer is going to be a 2 by 3, 2 rows, 3 columns. Well, here we go. Let's jump right into this, okay? I'm going to erase this, and you know what to do. You always start with your first row, and you always multiply it times your first column, and your answer will go always right here. That's where you start, always. So, first number times first number, -2. The next number times next number, that's a 0. And then next number times next number, -3. Combine those, and you will get a -5. Alright? Well, let's move on. We've got another column to go to, so we move over here. Now we're going to take this row times this column. First number times first number. Next number times next number. And next number times next number. 4 plus 0 plus 3. Remember, you always go to the right, okay? Would be a positive 7. Alright? Now, are we finished with this row right here? No, because we've not multiplied by every column. There's still one more column we have to use here. And so let's slide this over here to this column. And here we go. 1 times 2 would be a positive 2. 0 times 0 would be 0. And then 3 times -1 is -3. Combine those numbers and you get a -1. Alright, so now we know we're done with this first row. There's no columns left to use, so the first row is finished. And by the way, when you're done with the row, you should be at the end of your last blank over here, so you can come down here next, okay? And again, that's why it's so important to write your empty shell matrix so you know what your answer should look like. Alright. Well, we're back to our next row times our first column. So first number times first number, then my next number times my next number, and then next number times next number. If you combine those numbers, you will get a -3. Alright, let's continue on. Now we'll take this row times the next column. First number times first number, positive 8. Next number times next number, 0. Next number times next number, -2. Combine all of these numbers and you will get a positive 6. Positive 6. Now we know we're not done. We have one more column to go. So here we go. First number times first number, that's a positive 4. Next number times next number, that's a 0. Last number times last number, positive 2. Combine these and you get a positive 6. You know you're finished because you've taken this row times all the columns and there's no more rows to go to, plus all of your blanks are filled up, and that is the correct answer. Okay, let me pause and tell you something about your graphers. I taught you the other day how to enter a matrix into a calculator. So I'm going to remind you really quick again what to do if you want to multiply these together. A quick way to on a test or a quiz. I'm going to make you show your work. So I'm going to allow you to use a calculator sometimes, and sometimes I won't. Okay. So know how to do this both ways. But if with your graphing calculator, you could hit the second matrix, and then scroll over to edit, and then hit enter. Okay, so hit second matrix, scroll over to edit, hit enter, and then make your order a 2 by 3, and then enter all of these numbers. Then hit second quit. Are you listening? Hit second quit. So you should have a blank screen. Now hit second matrix again, and then go over to edit, and then go down to matrix B and hit enter. Let me say it again. You want to hit second matrix, then go over to edit, then go down to matrix B and hit enter. So now you can hit your second matrix. So I would type in 3 by 3 for your order. Okay? And then enter all of these numbers. Then after you've done that, hit second quit. Okay? So your screen should be empty. Here's your screen. Now hit second matrix, and your cursor should be on A or on number 1 where the A is. Just hit enter, and when you hit enter, this should pop up on your screen. Then hit second matrix again. Scroll down to number 2, okay? To matrix B or number 2 and hit enter. just like this is really cool. On your screen you'll see -5, -3, 7, 6, -1, 6. Pause the video and try that if you want to, guys, okay? That's a good way to check your answer on a test or a quiz. It's not cheating. Okay, one more and we're finally done, okay? This is kind of a weird one. Maybe it's going to be no solution. Let's see, okay? Let's take this matrix here times this matrix here. Let's run our test. We have 1 row and 3 columns. Let's say 1 by 3. We have 3 rows here and 1 column, so let's say 3 by 1. So do our inside numbers match? Yes, they do. So my outside numbers is kind of funny. My outside numbers are a 1 and a 1. So my answer is going to be a 1 by 1. That means 1 row and 1 column. So it's just going to be one number. That's it, guys. 1 blank there. That's 1 row and 1 column. Well, this will be the easiest problem we've done the whole class period. I know my answer is going to be this. You take your row times your column. 1 times 2. -2 times -1. -3 times 1. Combine those 4 numbers and you get a 1. Now, are there any more columns? No. Are there any more rows? No, you're finished. The answer is 1. A matrix with just a 1 by 1 matrix with 1 inside of it. And that's it. And again, you could practice using your calculators if you want to. You would hit the second matrix, go to the first matrix letter A, scroll over to edit, and type in 1 by 3. Then enter this. Then hit second quit. Then hit second matrix. Scroll over to edit. Then scroll down to letter B, hit enter, and then type in 3 by 1. And then enter these numbers. Then hit second quit. And then hit second matrix. Hit enter on A, and this will pop up on your screen. Then hit second matrix. Go down to letter B or number 2, hit enter, this will pop up. Then hit enter, and this will pop up. There'll be a matrix with the 1 in it, okay? Guys, I hope this teaching video has been a help to you. I know this can be pretty challenging stuff, and I hope I've explained it well. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to call or email.